it's Friday. That means it's time for Cast Guidance. Sorry, we're a few minutes late. We got talking lightsabers. And when you get
we're
geeks
nerds
together, you get nerds together talking shit. We lose track of time. Before we get started, just a couple things. First off, hi, I'm Tier the DM. I am the world's okayest DM, and my pronouns are he, him. And with me today, I have Raph the Mad.
Greetings, gamers.
And the unruly Locke Clark.
By Garth O'Keen's Sacred Taint, it's Friday!
Couple of quick announcements. First, we offer mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Secondly, we do not encourage the use of nicotine products such as cigars, pipes, vaping, cigarettes. Just because we do it doesn't mean you should. We want you to be happy and healthy. And third, we are not associated with Wizards of the Coast. We're just questionable individuals, coming together to give our questionable opinions on TTRPG stuff.
Very, very, very questionable.
I think you got a couple things for us, Locke.
I do. First, we would like to thank our musician who provides the theme song for the show, which is awesome, and we love it. And that is our very own Peculiar Patrick. Thanks, Peculiar Patrick. Secondly, we would like to thank our partners for this endeavor. We haven't really, I don't think we didn't change the format for this, right? I'm just going to blow through them real quick. It's fine. We would like to thank Red Panda Dice and Delights, who are fine makers of quality dice. Here's a nice blood red jobber that I got that I used to play Laz. All of the D20s come with a little red panda on the 20. You get 2 D20s in a pack in a set of dice, and there are 2 different red pandas on the 20s. Also, there's a red panda on the D6. I'll show that off too while I'm doing it because isn't that cool? And that is the 6. So go check out redpandadice.com for if you want dice or you want a little Red Panda plushie. We've got those too. So go check those out. Also, we would like to thank NordVPN for being our partner. Military grade encryption to help you stay protected. They search your information on the dark web to make sure your passwords aren't getting out there and on other sites that hackers use. They keep you safe, and they let you change your where you're located in the world so that when you're traveling, you don't miss your favorite shows, or you can see what's available in other countries, and all of that. And if you don't know about it, go and Google S686, which is the bill that is currently in the Finance Committee of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Senate that they are trying to pass. That is just awful. If you took the time to watch the hearings, you see just how dumb our representatives are about technology. So when I'm using TikTok, does it connect to my Wi-Fi? Well, yeah, if your phone's connected to your Wi-Fi. Yes or no answers only. Okay, you don't understand how it works. That's not a yes or no question. Anyway, I'm getting on a tangent. Call your senators. They're trying to. This bill is so badly worded it will outlaw VPNs. Is the point, and keep you less safe. So please call your senators. Tell them you will not. You'll work against re-electing them actively if they don't shut this bill down. And finally, we would like to thank Phineas Coffee. Coffee, very, very tasty coffee for gamers. It is delicious, it is caffeinated, and it keeps you going while you're making death saves. So get yourself some Phineas Coffee. To get NordVPN, go to our website, willofthedice.com, click the NordVPN link there, and to get you some Phineas Coffee, go to bit.ly/WOTD Phineas. Links are in the chat, and I'm going to enjoy some coffee now and kick it back to, I'm going to kick it to Raph. Raph, go.
Now that I'm highly caffeinated, take your caffeinated selves over to patreon.com, look up Will of the Dice, hit that subscribe button, hit a lot. Help support us, help subscribe to us. If you subscribe, you get access to After the Rolls. We talk about the fuckery that Tyr does to us on a weekly basis. We also get access to all these episodes of our podcasts, our Cast of the Guidance, Sins of Blood, Bloodlines, all that before we send it out to YouTube, out to Podbean, all the rest of that. And you get access to other things too. There's some audio documentaries out there, some cool other things hidden in there. So yes, please subscribe. It really does help us out. It helps pay the bills, helps keep us going, helps keep this channel going. So those of you who subscribe, we really thank you very much.
Also, depending on what tier you subscribe at, you get entered into a monthly merchandise drawing. Right now, we are giving away Wheel of the Dice mouse pads.
Ooh, shiny.
And our winner for April is Jeff Farber.
Jeff,
Yeah, Jeff Fafa. So congratulations, Jeff. We'll be getting that out to you. And for the next 17 people that subscribe, Red Panda Dice and Delights is going to provide you with a 55mm Table Shaker D20. These are sexy, chunky boys. You want one. I want one. They need to send me one. That way I can test it so I can give thorough, non-biased opinions. And maybe it won't roll a fucking one all the time. Anyway, yeah, so go subscribe.
I have access to the resin for Red Panda Dice. I will tell you now, if we send you a chunky boy, it's going to be weighted so the 20 never shows up on.
I approve this message.
I wouldn't do that, but.
Well, according to that film guy, aka John, he has gotten in touch with all dice manufacturers, and any dice that they sent to me are to be cursed.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. Good job. Thank you, John. We appreciate you. We miss you on the channel, and we appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, before we get into anything else, I just want to take a moment and say, check it out. I got a new tattoo. Or actually, I got an old tattoo colored, and I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
Cool. So Tier, what are we doing today?
Same thing we do every day, Raph. Try to take over the world. Today, so D&D dropped, or Wizards of the Coast dropped the Playtest new Player's Handbook. It's got some great shit in it. We're going to take a look at part 1 of it today. This is going to be a multi-part series because there's a lot of shit to cover. David said that they're glad they caught this one. They're excited for the episode. The playtest material needs some attention and some scrutiny. Well, we're the bastards to scrutinize it.
Yeah.
And to get you all to go en masse and complain to Jeremy Crawford. You know what? Just complain to Jeremy Crawford anyway. Tell him Tear sent you. Yeah, so we're going to be.
Or if you're going to praise today. Jeremy Crawford, tell them Locke sent you, because I'm the devil's advocate. I agree with Jeremy Crawford on more things than I disagree with him on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay to be wrong.
It says you. Anyway.
So about that playtest, where can we find this?
You can find that over on D&D Beyond. Just do a Google search for one D&D playtest. It'll take you to D&D Beyond. You can grab the PDF there. As always, they'll be opening up a survey soon. Make sure you fill out these surveys. They are listening to our feedback. This is an unprecedented thing. They are actually listening to what we have to say. And the chat says, won't it be funny if one day Jeremy Crawford knows Tier's name because we've sent people to him to complain? I would fucking love that. One of these days, Jeremy Crawford's going to be like, who the hell's Tier?
Why does he hate me so much?
I don't hate you, Jeremy. I just disagree with you. Oh,
okay, God. So are we ready to dive straight into this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing that caught my attention right off the bat, we're going in different order. We'll be jumping around a lot today. The first thing I want to talk to is the weapon mastery properties. So if you are a master with a specific type of weapon, it has extra properties that you get to implement into your attacks. That is fucking sweet.
Okay, so wait, I want to put a speculation out there right off the bat.
Okay.
They only gave us 2 of the martial classes in this drop, right? We're missing one. We're missing the monk.
Yes.
So I think part of that is strategic in that I think they're giving us the weapon mastery properties now, letting us get used to them. And then when we see the monk, I'm betting the monk is going to get weapon mastery and then get the ability to apply, to choose any of the weapon mastery traits and apply it to their fist. That's my prediction for monks. I'm putting it out there right now so that when I'm right, I get to gloat.
All right.
I'm not going to disagree with you because they've already done it here inside the fighter classes themselves, where you get to apply additional mastery types to your weapons.
Yes. So, do we want to start this off by going over the? I think it would be beneficial if we start with what the weapon properties are that you can get, and then we talk about where you get them in the class progressions and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to start off, what it says the master properties are is basically it's a property that's usable by a character who has weapon mastery. It unlocks the property for that character. So while I'm just going to randomly pick, while battle axe may have the master property topple, if you're not a weapons master with the battle axe, you don't get access to that.
Correct. Real quick, one of the big things that they made a change to, and it's in the weapons table. So before we move to just the properties, this is kind of a big deal. They added musket and pistol as default weapons. They're just there now.
Yep.
So now they just exist, and you don't have to argue with your DM about putting it, unless, and they've still left the rule in play. I mean, DM's rule. Now, as a DM, your rule has to exclude them if firearms don't exist in your world. It's no longer an opt-in, now it's an opt-out, which is a major change, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue because I would opt out in my world, but in other campaigns they opt in, but they've already done oh cool, you got a musket, it's going to be hard for you to fire because gunpowder is a thing that's hard to get a hold of.
Right. There's lots of ways to regulate it in your world. There really are. Making it opt out instead of opt in, I think it's going to cut down on a lot of the arguing in the community because you get a lot of, well, it's not core rules. Well, now it is core rules, and now you have to opt out of a core rule in order to put it in to take it out of your game. And that's the DM's prerogative. There's nothing wrong with that. I always just had a problem with DMs using well, it's an optional rule, and I'm choosing not to use it as the default answer. Now it doesn't fit my world, which is the more correct answer.
Yep, I'm okay with it.
It's a better way to phrase it, in my opinion.
Right, so master properties.
Yes, let's do that.
First one up is my favorite, cleave. They've brought cleave back into the equation finally in a usable way.
Yes.
For those old 3-3-5, cleave said when you hit somebody, you can hit somebody standing 5 feet next to them again with your same attack.
Yeah, basically it was I swing through one opponent into the next.
Yep. And then that graded cleave, and you can do a whole whirlwind circle. It was all sorts of fun. It was a great fun feat for fighters because you just got to kill lots of low level things, and it was fun.
Yeah. They have made it the cleave in this is kind of equivalent to the ranger the hunter ranger's horde breaker ability.
Yes.
And so it's not broken, it's just an extra. It's a thing. It's a cool thing. And we should point out that the weapon has to be a melee weapon. It has to have the heavy property in order for it to have the cleave ability. There are prerequisites on all of these, and that becomes important later.
Yep, and it has to have the cleave ability itself. And the fun part, let's see,
is it?
Yeah, you have to start with the cleave master property to use it.
No, but later in the fighter, they get to switch those things out. So that's where the prerequisites become important.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yes. All right. If you hit a weapon melee attack using this weapon, you can make an attack with the weapon against the second creature within 5 feet of the first that is also within reach. On the hit, the second creature takes the weapon's damage, but you don't add your ability modifier to the damage unless the modifier is negative. You can make this extra attack only once per turn.
Yeah, so they're basically giving fighters Horde Breaker.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
with certain weapons,
if you look, I'm going to take Sarek, for example. For those of you who don't know who Sarek is the Dragonborn that Raph plays on Saturday nights on Sins of Blood. 8 p.m. here on this channel. You should come check it out.
Yes, you should.
Sarek is a hell of a tank. This is going to make someone like Sarek even tankier.
Yeah. Because you're basically just dealing splash damage to the guy next to the guy you hit. Yep. It doesn't. The nice part is it doesn't take your focus off. I'm going to focus on this target, and I'm going to take that target down, and then I'm going to turn to the next guy. It means I'm going to hit this guy, and I'm going to take this guy down. But while I'm doing it, that guy's going to get damaged a little bit until I get this guy dead, and then I'm going to start in on that guy proper. But he's already going to be partially weakened when I start on him.
Yep, and quick scroll through the list. Looks like the only 2 weapons start natively with cleave, and that is the halberd and the great axe. 2 big swingy slashy weapons. Makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so I want to say when I first read through this list, like for the most part, there's a couple, but for the most part, every time I read one, I got more excited than I was for the last one. You know what I mean? Like, so the next one is
Hold on
flex.
before we go to the next one.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to put this into perspective. You said that let's take the great axe. So you're fighting multiple minotaurs, for example. Pull off bloodlines here. You're dropping what's Sarek's damage modifier? +5?
Yes.
Okay. So you hit the dude, you're doing 1d12 +5. Then you're doing 1d12 to the guy next to him. That's not a light amount of splash. That is possibly a full-fledged fucking attack damage.
Now since you bring that up, I'm gonna bring up a mechanics thing that doesn't apply in our games because you don't allow multi-classing at your table tier, but at a table that allows multi-classing, the damage specifically says you don't add your ability modifier to that damage. It doesn't say anything about any other modifiers. So if, for example, I'm a paladin who's dipped into fighter, gotten weapon mastery, or I've taken the feat weapon mastery because there's a feat that allows you to do it too. So I guess that would be a way it would apply at our table. So I'm a paladin and I have weapon mastery and I'm carrying a great axe. And I hit the guy in front of me and I do full damage to him. And then I splash damage the guy next to it with just the straight weapon damage. But I burned a smite into that. It doesn't say that I can't add the smite damage to it.
I'd have to go dig into the rules for smite itself to see if smite allows you to kind of fall through that, but still.
All right,
but still.
Let's say smite's not a good example. All right, fine. I'm a Hexblade Warlock who took the feat Weapon Master so I can cleave with my packed weapon, and I've Hexblade cursed that guy, but I'm attacking this guy, and I hit him, cleave through, hit him. I get to do my bonus hex damage because he's hexed and I hit him.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of versatility in this because of the way it's worded. You can still pile extra damage into that splash hit with other effects if you're using the feat version, I think. That's the point I wanted to make here, that there's a lot of use there.
David threw a flag on that play. He very specifically says the target takes the weapon's damage.
Yes, the target takes the weapon's damage. But we always talk about how there are base rules and then there are specific rules. And Hex says, anytime I hit the hexed person.
Yep. I would go with that. In addition, it says you drop the ability modifier. Doesn't care though if you can say you're using a +1 or a +2 weapon. That's additional damage right there, straight from weapons damage.
Right. Yeah. So
no, I would say as a DM, I would say your scenario of you've Hexblade cursed Soldier 2, you're straight attacking Soldier 1, but cleave through to hit Soldier 2, that they would take the hex damage. I'd rule. That's how I'd rule it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, they would have said only the weapons damage if they meant only the weapons damage. If you have other effects going on them that trigger when they are hit, you have hit them and you have done damage. Because you have to make an attack roll to hit them. And
I was also going, David, we're on the same wavelength. They said that you could separately Divine Smite on splash target, for example, because it would require extra triggers. They would allow extra damage, but it would require triggers. I would allow you to burn a smite on the second target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If providing you didn't burn it on the first, because you can only use it once.
Yeah. Okay, so we ready to move on to the next one?
Yes, the next one was quick.
Right. All right, yeah. Flex. I love this one. This one is here for the 2-weapon fighters, I'm convinced. Because it doesn't do a lot for anybody else. But it's cool if you're a 2-weapon fighter. Flex is the prerequisite. It has to have the versatile property on the weapon. And versatile, for those who don't know, means that the weapon has 2 damages listed. Usually 1 die apart. And if you are wielding the weapon 2-handed, you get the higher damage die. So a longsword does 1d8 damage unless you put a second hand on the grip, and now you're doing 1d10 damage with the longsword, which on average is 1 point of extra damage. Right? But with the flex property, I can wield a versatile weapon 1-handed like I'm wielding it 2-handed. So I can 1-hand it and still get the D10 out of my longsword, which means if I've taken the feat that allows me to use 2 non-light weapons as in my offhands, that means that I can wield 2 longswords and both of them can do a D10.
Tight grip. What? Oh, sorry.
Which is kind of cool. It's a little something extra for you if you are if you're a dual wielder,
and if you're spending the feats to make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
David is kind of he loves the feel of this whole section. He's just terrified it's not going to have proper guardrails. Well, that's why we're talking about it, because when
and that's why it's playtest.
Yeah, playtest. When the review's open, go and give your comments. So, but yeah, flex could be interesting. So yeah, graze. This one is this one's different.
No, I like this. This is great for rogues. This is great for a rogue. Go ahead. You want to read this one, Tier?
Yep.
We'll just rotate through.
If your attack roll with this weapon misses a creature, you can deal damage to that creature equal to the ability modifier used to make the attack roll. This damage is the same type. So if you've got a +5 on dex and you miss, you can graze them and you're still doing 5 points of damage.
Now, and this one specifically says this damage cannot be increased in any way.
Yep.
So like, and when I said this is good for a rogue, I was thinking of the next one, which is Nick, but this one's still good. This is the, yeah, I missed, but you still take damage. This is a weapon this is great for those moments when like the bad guy has 1 hit point and their turn is next, and you just need to put them down before they do the thing. And you use a graze weapon Because even if you miss, you're gonna deal 1 hit points worth of damage to them at minimum. You know, or if you're a 20 strength fighter, you're doing 5 points of damage on a miss, which is not bad, quite frankly.
This makes me happy because I'll be doing damage.
Right?
No, you make a point there. I'm not so sure I like this one anymore. But yeah, looking through it, it's you're talking daggers, light hammer, sickle, and scimitar. Scimitar, that's it. There's only like 4 weapons with that quality to start with.
With Grace?
I want to go back to what David said.
Oh, I'm thinking
you're looking at Nick, aren't you? Yeah, I keep getting them confused. Gray's is glaives.
Yep.
And great swords, because it's all heavy weapons.
Yes,
that's the prerequisite. Is heavy.
So, right quick, I want to go back to what David said, that they're not trying to throw cold water on any ideas. They love the whole feel. They're just terrified it's not going to have proper guardrails. When I read through this, I had the same reaction. I'm like, shit, this is going to make a lot of stuff overpowering. How am I going to have to modify things at my table to make it fair? But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, a lot of this stuff is situational. A lot of it has prerequisites, and you've got to have the mastery in that type of weapon. So you're either burning feats to get mastery or whatever. You're not everybody has it. It's not going to be the whole party going out there with Cleve or Grays or Nick. So I think that there in itself brings some balance.
Yeah, look at the let's pull back for just a second. We are talking about how other classes can utilize this if they burn a feat to do it. But really what we're talking about here is the martial classes, which already get outclassed at the top end, right? By the spellcasters. This is giving them a little bit more earlier on and letting them do some cool little tweaks that just make them feel cooler and give them some utility in combat. And only the martial classes get this natively without burning a feat to do it. So, just because the weapon has the property listed, if you don't have Weapon Master, you don't get that property. Period.
Exactly.
So I think there are enough guardrails already, in my opinion.
I assume that answers 2 questions. So the guardrails are opportunity costs for other feats. Yes, pretty much.
Yes. And that there's a limited scope of which weapons have which properties, and there are very few things you can do to change that. So that's and there's some cool utility stuff in here. Like Nick, which is up next. Raph?
Since I got it confused with Grays because it's very similar. Nick, when you make an extra attack of the light property, you can make it as part of the attack action instead as a bonus action. You can still make this extra attack only once per turn.
Right. So basically, with the way the new light feature works on the weapon, you get an extra attack so that your bonus action is freed up in order to
yes.
Because they've moved a lot of stuff in, they're utilizing the bonus actions better for class stuff. So they changed the light weapon property to give you that little extra while you're using a light weapon. And now they're saying, so say in a round I can't quite get to the enemy. I have to move and dash, and I get to the enemy and all I have left is a bonus action. Well, with a light weapon, I can still take my bonus action offhand strike with a light weapon, and I can make an extra attack with it by switching it to my bonus action. Which makes you cooler. It makes you cooler. I'm sorry. I think that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. And it's a light property weapon too. So you're not talking, I'm not dropping a great sword on your head. It's a short sword dagger. You're talking D6 extra damage plus bonuses.
Right.
But it keeps you in the fight.
But hey, you know what? I'm gonna throw a scenario out there. The fighter with Sentinel in a chase is running after a guy that's trying to get away that they need to stop. The fighter runs, dashes, bonus action attacks with their dagger, which has the nick property, and gets 2 attacks and only has to land one of them to trigger Sentinel and stop them from moving till the rest of the party can catch up. That's how that's useful. That's where that shines.
Yeah, until the DM uses it against you.
Right. Well, I mean, that's fair. Fair.
Mm-hmm. Where's that rule only usable by players? What's next?
I want to address David real quick, who says all the cleave weapons are Graze eligible only for fighters. Fighters are the only ones that get to change the properties. Each weapon has their own singular property listed. And then fighters get to make tweaks to that because they're really good with their weapons. And we'll get to that.
And I agree with 2 questions. They finally found the PDF we're looking at. They like how marshals can marshal better natively. I do too. Because if you're like a 10th level fighter, you're skilled with your weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know how I'm going to use something we were talking about before stream. Mandalorian. The fight between spoiler alerts ahead. The fight between the stormtroopers in Beskar and the Mandalorians. The Mandalorians were kicking the shit out of those stormtroopers because they knew the chinks in the armor. They knew how to use their weapons. They knew how to fight. They are fighters. And so this is what we're seeing. We're seeing more versatility and more damage output coming to your fighters because, like you said, Locke, when you get to higher tiers, spellcasters blow fighters out of the water. Right.
And unfortunately, especially on the Barbarian, which we will get to, Wizards of the Coast in this playtest have not done a lot. They've done a little, but they haven't done a lot to mitigate the poor ramping that the Barbarian class sees. The Barbarian class is really strong at the start, but then doesn't get much cooler towards the end. They get spellcasters are going to blow them out of the water at the end. But so they haven't fixed the ramp, but they did fix it a little. They did give us something. And the weapon mastery is just going to add to that. It's going to give you that extra little trick you've got up your sleeve in combat. Especially this next one, which is one of my favorites. Push requires a heavy two-handed or versatile weapon. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push that creature up to 10 feet away from you if it is no more than one size larger than you. That's a big deal.
Uh-huh.
I already see how it's broken and how they're going to have to fix it.
Yep.
Because they don't specify a direction, guys. That's what's missing. 10 feet away. Does not say on a horizontal plane. That means, rules is written, I can use push to shove someone 10 feet up. I can knock them 10 feet in the air and let them take 1d6 fall damage in addition to my attack, which is broken and wrong, and they're gonna have to put a word in there 10 feet horizontally. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna have to fix that because someone's gonna try that shit.
That's where the mean DM says no.
Yeah,
because I said.
But I'm playing a Goliath.
So
actually, I might have give that one to you.
David says that they're reading Nick differently than I think you guys are. Light lets you use bonus action attack with offhand only if you use the attack action. Nick gives you the offhand as part of an attack action without burning your bonus action. So it primarily benefits the dash action tactic of classes like Rogue because it preserves their bonus action. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
And then they say that you could push someone 10 feet away off a cliff.
You could always do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can always make a shove attack, and there are plenty of other abilities that let you push people around the board. So making this part of the weapon, I roll up and I hit somebody in the chest with a maul, and I can knock them back 10 feet while still doing the damage rather than having to make a specific shove attack. It's what fighters should be able to do.
Yes,
I'm good with martial weapons. I should be able to use them in ways that other people can't. That's what makes the class special. So yeah, that's
I do like how the heavy crossbow has the push feet feature.
fuck yeah.
Thump.
So yeah, I mean, the druid drops drops spike growth on the ground, and then the fighter rolls up and clubs the barbarian rolls up and smacks the guy with a maul and knocks him straight into the center of the spike growth.
Yep. Technically, the maul does not have push.
Okay, but the maul should have fucking push. But you know what I mean? Like
Great Club, Pike, and Heavy Crossbow are the ones I'm pulling off right off the top of my head here, as I'm looking at the list. But still, yeah, I like the Pike. I'm going to stab you from 10 feet away and then make you go 10 feet back.
And I'm going to push you back. Yeah. All right, Tyr, you're up.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites because it has no prerequisite. Sap. Yeah. If you hit a creature with this weapon, that creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn. So basically, you're ringing somebody's bell. Those of us that have been in armor, we've all had that shot that just,
leaves you dazed for a second. Yeah.
You leaves you dazed for a second. So you're ringing the shit out of somebody's bell, and their next attack is going to have disadvantage.
Or, and I've had this one happen once or twice, you hit a shot that hits, you hit them like in the arm in a spot where the nerve is. And now they've got dead arm for a second, and they're swinging, but they don't have control over the swing, really, because their arm's gone numb from the hit.
Yeah, so this is... I can see this coming into play where the fighter's gone after one of your squishies, and you just roll up and knock the shit out of them, so if they try to attack the squishy, they're attacking with a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Going after your healer or one of your magic users or whatever. So this has some versatility to it.
Right. Yeah, no, this is a great power. It gives you a lot of this is one of those things that if you have a weapon that does it, there are going to be times where you're like, oh, that's going to be clutch,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I'm gonna make the bad guy miss the important target for just a moment. Or, the bad guy is standing over the downed party member about to attack with advantage and deal 2 death saves worth of damage. And I managed to roll up and hit them with a sap attack that's going to make sure that they are at least rolling on a flat plane.
Yep.
Take their advantage away while I hope that, our healer can get the person up. But I'm still going to give them disadvantage in that moment. Absolutely not 2 questions. They do not get a lot in the way of crowd control.
No, they don't.
Nope. Nah, outside of some of the magic spells, there's not a lot actually for serious crowd control in 5th ed.
Yeah.
Okay, so Raph, I think you're up.
All right, the next one is an interesting one. It also has no prerequisite. It's called Slow. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to the creature, you can reduce its speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. If you hit the creature more than once with this property, the speed reduction does not exceed 10 feet. So you can only drop it by 10 feet. Still, I'm going to smack you with this. I'm going to slow you, and then I'm going to run away, and you're not going to be able to catch me.
Okay, so this is the one that I was like, of all of them, each time I read one, I was like, oh, that's so much cooler. You know, that's cooler or as cool as the last one. And I got more excited as I went. Then I got to this one and I was like, that's really not that good.
Actually, I'm slightly disagreeing. Since slow natively is on the longbow, hi, I'm going to pepper you at range with my longbow with slow, slowing down your advance on me so I can get more long range attacks on you as you come in.
Yeah, no, I mean that is one of the really useful places for it.
I tell you another useful place for it too is your rogues. I come in, I'm gonna slow your ass, I'm gonna disengage, bonus action, and back the fuck out. And you're 10 foot slower, your speed is reduced by 10 feet. You're not gonna be able to get to me.
Without wasting a second action to do it.
Yep.
I do want to point out how this could be misused in the best way, because I love this idea of this misuse. This is what I realized. So you can slow with a club, right?
Basic club, yeah.
Yeah. 3 bugbears with clubs on one target. Because the key word here is it says if you hit a creature more than once with this property, its speed reduction, it doesn't exceed 10 feet. If 3 of you all have the slow property on your weapon and you hit a creature, it's reduced by 30 feet, and that's pretty much all of its movement gone. So
make a note of that.
So you can't use ideas other people came up with, Tier. You've said so.
How do you know I didn't come up with it?
Damn it. Because you're making a note about it right now. If you hadn't said make a note, I would know. Anyway. So 3 bugbears, all at 10 foot away from the person, because bugbears have reach. All smack the guy at once, and now he doesn't get movement.
Unless he's got a reach weapon, he can't do anything about it either.
That's right.
Oof.
Unless he's something that has like 40 feet of movement, then he gets a whopping 10.
Yeah, he gets 10.
But
yeah, so just that the you hit a creature is the most important word in that entire description.
Yep.
And for those of you wondering, Locke said I didn't think of it first. I have a rule at my table. If the players come up with an idea that I did not think of, I will not use it against those players.
Or that party.
I won't use it against that party. Now, if there are players that are in multiple parties, well...
We might see it in one, but if we see it in the other, I'll be mad. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
yeah, choice.
Yeah. Right. Is it me again? I think it's
again.
Me. Okay, this one might be my favorite. I don't know. The last one is also real fucking good. But topple prerequisites: heavy, reach, or versatile weapon. You hit a creature with this weapon, and you can force the creature to make a Constitution saving throw. This is the only one that gets a save. However, they make a con save. The DC is equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus, plus the ability modifier you use to make the attack roll. On a failed save, the creature has the prone condition. You literally knock them down. So let me burn a scenario into your brain for a second. We're fighting a dragon. The dragon is flying. We're having trouble hitting it because it's in the air. But we've made it burn all of its legendary resistances. And then Winter hucks her trident at it and hits it, and it fails its saving throw. Now that dragon is prone. That means it falls out of the sky, takes prone damage, and is stuck on the ground for a round.
Yeah.
How fucking useful is that? The ability to keep a flying creature on the ground? That's huge. That's a big deal. Like, that is a property, and when I said Trident, I picked that one on purpose because Trident gets the topple ability.
Yep, and it can be thrown.
And it can be thrown. It is a thrown weapon. And there's nothing in this section that says that You can't use a thrown weapon to enact that ability. The ability has the thrown property and it has the topple property. You chuck a trident at someone and hit them in the chest, and it can knock them over. You know, like.
All right.
So
I'm going to disagree with some of them.
okay,
I could kind of see that. Oh, okay, dragons. Nah, yeah. I would put a size category on that one just because.
Sentinel doesn't have a size category.
Yeah, and then I would also caveat non-magical flying. If I've got the fly spell going and I topple, I just fall prone sitting there in the sky. I'd say I wouldn't get much recover from that because I'm in the sky out in the middle of nowhere, but I don't think I'd take the fall damage from it.
No, you know what? You can take the fall damage away, and I might be okay with that. I don't see how. I don't think they're prone in the sky though, because prone gives advantage on melee attacks, but disadvantage on range attacks, and it is unbalancing and unfair to have a creature be 60 feet in the air and have disadvantage from a ranged attack.
Well, see, and that's where I agree with you on that. I would take away the disadvantage for being prone in the sky. You're still out in the open sky.
I'd force them to the ground. They're forced to the ground. Maybe they don't take fall damage from it, but they are forced to the ground and prone, and have to spend half their movement to get back up on their turn.
Is fly concentration? That's what I want to know.
Ooh.
2 seconds. I can find out.
As we all run to the. Yeah, well, yeah. What type of fly are we talking to?
I think the spell fly is.
Okay, so let's say you're using. Yeah,
yes,
it's concentration. So you got to make the saving throw. You got to make 2 saving throws there. You got to make the saving throw to be knocked prone, and the saving throw to keep concentration.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, if you lose concentration, you're falling out of the sky and taking the damage and all of it.
So the way I would do it is you would topple in the air if you kept concentration, but your ranged attacks are going to have advantage because you're fucking floundering.
Uh-huh.
You're like the Emperor at the end of Return of the Jedi when he's falling down the hole. You're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, and I'd absolutely agree with that. If you make your concentration check, you're just kind of sitting there floundering, and you'd still have to take your half movement to gain control of your flight again.
And let's be real about this though. I feel like a lot of the disagreement here is that this could be overpowered by being able to knock a dragon out of the sky. Let's not forget what the saving throw is, guys. It's a fucking con save, the queen of saving throws. The one almost everyone is proficient with. So, the odds that the dragon has burned all of its legendary resistances and fails the saving throw are pretty low.
You talked to Tyr recently.
I've seen the way he rolls dice. But, yeah.
Here's the thing. Dragons are not magical flight. They have wings. So it would knock a dragon to the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Raph was specifying magical flight, and that's where he and I agree.
No, I can agree with that. However, and that's going to be, but you're going to, once again, while we're all agreeing with that, it does require a homebrewed rule for how prone in the air now work, because it doesn't make sense otherwise. And magical flying creatures, I'm just saying that this is not as overpowered as it seems because that con save is something that's going to be hard for them to think.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen as often as you want it to, especially not on big monsters that you're fighting late game.
Yes.
Let's be real about that, right?
Yep. It's the that doesn't make sense rule in parts of it. And that'll be part of our when we get to the point we get to fill out the survey. Fill out the survey when it comes up. We'll put in there.
Now, this last one is near and dear to me.
This might be the best one in the whole fucking thing, quite frankly.
So, little story. Before I got injured, I did SCA combat. 9 out of 10 people, when I stepped up to them the first time, looked at me. I'm a big guy. They looked at me and they thought I was going to be a dumb, clubbing brute. What they didn't know is that I have quick hands and I was taught to be a finesse fighter. That's why I love that this is on not only ammunition or light, but it's also on finesse. It's called Vex. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to the creature, you have advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your next turn.
Yep. Do you realize how powerful this is? Have you
This
really
is
thought this
huge.
one through?
Yes. If you're someone, I'm going to use Sarek again because he's the fighter class in our parties. He's using a scimitar. He gets 3 attacks right now. He comes in on his first attack, vexes him. Next attack roll, advantage. Next attack roll, advantage. It doesn't say only once.
Right.
Yep.
Every time you hit, you
get
gain advantage on your next hit. So this chains, and
Yeah.
it means that if you continue
Action
to chain,
surge.
if you continue to, if that last hit gets you advantage, that means first hit next round gets you advantage too.
Yep.
Because it's through the end of your next turn. So if you're a rapier fighter, dex based, fighting with finesse, you give yourself advantage straight through the combat.
And I'm going to point this out. It's on ammunition, say the hand crossbow. Think about that for a rogue. They get sneak attack damage when they get advantage, right?
Yep. So a rogue takes weapon mastery and then applies it to their hand crossbow.
Here, I hit you. Okay, next round, I hit you again with advantage, and I get sneak attack damage. I don't have to do the study target, waste the bonus action on the study target.
Yeah.
Or was it steady hands?
I mean, dude, think about. All right, I want to. Let's get silly for a minute here.
What?
It's on the blowgun, which only does 1 point of damage. But you can hit somebody with the blowgun to give yourself advantage on your next attack. So you hit them with the blowgun, and then you smack them with the, with your trident, and knock them over because you've got advantage on the hit. I'm just. There are lots of ways to use that. I'm going to hit you for 1 point with the blowgun to vex you so that I get advantage on this next thing that I'm going to do.
David says they've been wrestling what the raw implications of prone are for a flying creature. There's nothing about the condition that dictates the creature descends. And yeah, there is no raw about it. That's why we're going RAI on this one.
Yeah.
That would be a question for Jeremy Crawford. Go ask him. Somebody go tweet Jeremy Crawford and be like, hey, if you knock something that's flying prone, what happens?
Or, before you tweet at him, for the love of all that's holy, go on Sage Advice and search for it to make sure he hasn't already answered that question. Because he won't answer you if he's already answered it. I'm sorry. Make sure it's not already out there. I'm going to go look at the prone condition just one more time for my own
edification.
The creature's
two
movement.
Questions. Yeah, you're correct. 2 questions. I agree with that one. You like how they're giving the marshals more decisions to make other than roll attack and not even look away from their phone when they do it.
Yep.
Yeah, it gives the marshals more options, more things to consider as they go through things.
All right, so, Mr. Clock on the Wall says it's time to take our break. We're going to take 10 minutes, get our beverages of choice, our snickety snacks, and handle our business. And we'll be back to get deeper into the martial class in this. Hell, this may be a 2-parter in itself. You never know. But yeah, don't go anywhere.
We've only made it through the weapons table.
We'll be right back. we took our break, got our beverages of choice, our stickity snacks, and handled our business. Today we are talking about the Playtest Player's Handbook that just dropped from over on D&D Beyond from Wizards of the Coast. We've got through the weapons table and mastery types. Now we're moving on to the martial classes.
All right, one quick stop. Adventuring
Okay.
gear. They moved the net over to adventuring gear. It's no longer a weapon.
Huh.
Locke, you're muted. So that
There
means
we
you don't need proficiency to use it. You can go buy it and throw it at somebody.
Not only do you not need proficiency to use it, it's no longer an attack action to use.
Well, it says when you take the attack action on your turn,
Okay.
you can place one of your attacks with the throw of a net.
Mhm.
So it is an
Okay,
attack
yeah,
action.
it is an attack action. My bad. There was something else about it, though, that was interesting. I'm trying to remember what that was. I get back to it so I can read it. Page is that?
Oh, the target succeeds automatically if it's huge or larger. So no netting dragons.
On page
Mr.
4.
Babies.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's a dex save, so it's not that bad. But the creature is now restrained.
Mhm.
And while it's an athletics check to get out of it, it's still
DC
going to
10, not
take
bad.
it's going to take their action to do it. Or they can attack the net as long as they're not using bludgeoning. And free themselves. So yeah, you can if you have an attack as a bonus action, you can pull a net and throw it offhanded and attempt to restrain a creature. The net only has 5 hit points, so one hit one hit, even on a miss, if you have graze, will undo it. If your strength is a 20, you're just going right through it, but it's still going to take you an action to get free. Yep. So yeah, that makes the net much more viable. It means you don't have to specifically build. It means anybody can do it now.
Although it kind of leads to a larger issue as a whole when it comes to action economy. The reason a lot of the boss fights work is the players have the better action economy. They have more actions between all of them to do things than the boss generally. Which kind of puts it, yeah, but
generally.
Well, some of these things we're starting to cut into what little action ability the other opponents have versus the player mob. So,
right, and one of the things that this misses, it doesn't cover, is let's say I'm the fighter and I have nets, and it says it doesn't work on creatures that are bigger than large. But that's assuming that I am medium sized. If I get enlarged and my equipment enlarges with me, does that apply when I throw the net? That's one of those gray areas that's going to have to be sussed.
Yeah.
So, something to think about.
Yeah, and this is something they're going to have to ponder as they start looking to unfuck their challenge rating system.
Okay, so Barbarian.
Yes.
As previously mentioned, the Barbarian does not... They fixed the ramping a little bit, but they didn't, in my opinion, do enough. The Barbarian is still very heavily loaded at the low end and doesn't scale as well. I wish they had ramped the rage damage a little bit more. Only getting +4 to your rage by 20th level is I mean, I think your rage damage should scale with your attack bonus, quite frankly. But that's just me. I'm going to point out now in the chart for barbarians, you get 2 weapon masteries to start, and then that goes up to 4. So in all of our talk about weapon mastery, you're still having to pick and choose what weapons you are mastered in. So that is a thing to consider.
Yes.
And could suck if, as the barbarian, you haven't chosen, you have a chosen weapon mastery, and then you find a cool magic weapon in the dungeon that you don't have weapon mastery in. And then it's several levels before you get a new weapon mastery to master that new weapon. Just something to think about. And it's one way that DMs can kind of mess with their play.
What?
Well, then you just have to weigh your options, because you don't have to be weapon mastery to use the weapon.
Right.
So you found this sort of sharpness versus being able to cleave. You
Right.
know.
Yep.
And yeah,
David
go ahead,
points out that they covered that by allowing you can swap out those by using a long rest.
Is that on all weapon master?
Weapon
or
mastery.
Just the fighter.
Ooh.
So I know
knowledge.
I know the fighter gets that ability. Each weapon now has a weapon mastery policy.
Yep. Weapon mastery. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can practice weapon drills and change the kinds of melee weapons you choose.
Okay, so yeah, so it takes a long rest. That seems pretty fair. All right. So at first level, barbarians get raged. They get unarmored defense and weapon master. So the only real change there is that you get weapon master now in addition. No big changes to proficiencies or hit die or anything like that for the barbarian. Big change to rage though.
Oh yes.
So their stated goal with this is that you can you are now, as the barbarian, in control of your rage. Taking damage no longer extends your rage. But in that trade-off, they have now made it so that you can use your bonus action to extend your rage, and your rage now lasts for 10 minutes instead of 1. Which means that up to 10 minutes, which means that if you're in a situation like a dungeon crawl where you're going to be having multiple encounters back to back, you don't have to keep burning rages in between, to stay in a rage after, which it gives you a lot more autonomy. You no longer have to punch yourself in the face.
Right.
Or as one of the tropes was, slap yourself with some alchemist fire and set yourself on fire, so you take 2 damage every round just to stay in your rage. So I think all in all, that is I like the change. Let me say that first and foremost. However, thematically, I think taking away the I get hit and it pisses me off is a little hard to swallow for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't like what it does thematically, but I like the autonomy and versatility it gives the character.
Yeah, it makes them a little more versatile. And yeah, it very much changes how it works. You rage for 1 turn, and that's it. And in order to keep the rage going the next turn, you either have to make an attack roll against an enemy, force an enemy to make a saving throw, or spend a bonus action to extend your rage.
Yeah.
And then extend it for the next turn. And you can do that for up to 10 minutes.
So the saving throw thing is also new. Like, previously that wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few things you as a barbarian are going to do that's going to cause an enemy to make a saving throw, but it's there.
All right. I want to jump to chat right quick because Siri said something that fascinates me and something that I may start doing. that they tend to make special magic items in the dungeon items of potential. The enchantment is set the form of the weapon the player chooses when they pick it up, and then it's locked in.
No, I like that.
That is a cool idea.
So when you attune to it, it becomes the weapon of essentially your skill.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome option. That is one of those things that, like, you know, we see it happen in D&D a lot. I built my character around like this weapon that was special to me in some fashion, and then I find a weapon that's cooler, and now I have to give up my special weapon that I came into the game with.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of idea allows you to sort of play in that this weapon looks just like my old weapon. It's basically my old weapon but cooler.
Yeah, I'm going to scatter some of those throughout Ruinous Cache.
I would even allow it to, like, you know, it's a weapon of potential, and you could actually, if you have, like, I would allow a player with a weapon that, like, was passed down to them by their grandfather to touch that weapon to the other weapon while attuning and transfer the power to the weapon they've always been carrying. Like, I'm fine with that. That would be,
Something like that.
Yeah, two questions says it's like engrams from Destiny 2. Exactly.
Back to the rage thing. One other change. Old rules, rage ended when you are unconscious. New rules here, rage ends when you're incapacitated.
Yes.
Slight change, not huge differences, but
yeah.
Narratively, David says narratively, a character raging their way through and out of, say, paralysis is a cool trope. Yeah, it is, and it's a trade-off. And again, these are things that when they open up the survey, they have places for you to put comments. These are things to add because Wizards of the Coast is listening.
Mm-hmm. Not well, but they are listening.
Yeah, and tell them Tyr sent you.
Every time I see a cowboy on the horse, I tell them.
Okay, so moving on. After Rage and Weapon Master, which we've covered, and Unarmored Defense, which really didn't change.
Nope.
Okay, this one is so useful and makes the Barbarian a much more utilitarian character. However, I find it hilarious. Now, the flavor that they give it fixes the hilarity of it, but nonetheless, I'm sticking with the hilarity because I love it. At second level, Primal Knowledge. You gain proficiency in another skill of your choice from a list of skills available to the Barbarian at first level. In addition, while your rage is active, you can channel primal power when you attempt certain tasks whenever you make an ability check using one of the following skills. Acrobatics, Intimidation, Perception, Stealth, or Survival. And when you use this ability, your strength represents the primal power coursing through you and around you. So you use your strength to do it. And I think there's a thing later that lets you just use your strength score. But literally, like, my eyeballs are so strong that I perceive better. I'm just imagining like they're flexing their eyeball muscles. I understand they're channeling primal energy, and that is the flavor of it. But nonetheless, they are invoking like primal animal spirits or whatever to see better. But just I flex my face and I see better.
Or stealth. Hi, I picked up the tree and put it in front of me. I am now hiding.
Right. I'm so strong that you can't see me. I'm fucking John Cena, bitch.
I am so pissed off that sound is afraid to come near me.
That's right. That's right. Also, thanks Siri Cat for the 2 gifted subs. Look at you.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's just it's cool. It makes one of the downfalls of the barbarian is that you're less useful out of combat, and now you're in the dungeon. You finish the encounter. But you can keep your rage burning for 10 minutes by spending your bonus actions, and you can use your actions to make skill checks and use your strength instead. And that's really cool, especially in those moments where we're gonna stealth, and while stealthing, my rage would usually go away because I'm not hitting anything or being hit by anything, but I can keep burning my rage through stealth and get a bonus to my stealth by using my best stat to do it. That's awesome. Second level, you also get reckless attack, which hasn't changed. You still get advantage and open yourself up to advantage while attacking. Third level, you get your subclass. Fourth level, you get a feat. Fifth level, you get an extra attack and faster movement. Sixth level, you get another subclass feature. At seventh level, you get feral instincts. You get advantage on initiative and dexterity saving throws as a barbarian. I don't think that changed. I think you might have gotten that at a different level before, but I think you always got that.
Yeah, 7th level.
At 8th, you get a new feat or ability score. At 9, Indomitable Might. Here you go. If your total for a strength check is less than your strength score, you can use that score in place of the total.
So I can always have a 20 on my strength check.
Now, here's the question, though. Because it says strength check, but does that mean any check that uses strength? Because if so, then that applies to your perception while you're raging. And that means my perception is always a fucking 20 if I have a 20 strength barbarian.
If I'm raging.
I'm
very angry. I will see it's kind of like your mom. When you're in deep, she sees everything you did wrong.
That's right.
Did you look at me funny?
No. Brutal critical at 11th level did not change. I don't think. I think you get it a little sooner now. At 13, you get persistent rage. Your rage is so fierce that it now lasts for 10 minutes without you needing to do anything to extend it. So by 13th level, you don't have to you get your bonus action back at 13th level.
You're just the Hulk. You're always angry.
Yeah. So until you get incapacitated or you put on heavy armor, you just keep raging for 10 minutes. Now at 15 is where you get relentless rage. And if you drop to 0 hit points while you're raging, and you don't die outright, you can make a Constitution saving throw, DC 10. If you succeed, this is a big change. Instead of dropping to 0, your hit points instead change to a number equal to twice your barbarian level. And this feat increases by 5 DC every time you use it until you take a longer short rest. So it goes from 10 to 15 to 20. If you get dropped that minute. When you get this, you're at 15th level. So that means when you get hit and your hit points would have dropped to 0, but you wouldn't have been killed. You then automatically have 30 hit points.
Yep.
Which is not at a 15th level. 30 hit points is not a lot. Most monsters hitting you are gonna do 20 to 30 points. So it's really just going to keep you in the fight for another round.
Yep. And then you do it again.
and then you do it again. But like, it's a lot better than 1. You know what I mean? Like 30 is better than 1. We can all agree on that.
Yep. And looking at it, it's the other round. These are coming much later in this progression than they are normally for the current 5th ed. Relentless Rage is an 11th level ability. Persistence Rage is at 15. That changed. Brutal Critical was 9th. Feral Instincts was 7. So yeah, these seem to be coming. Well, that's about the same there.
Yeah, some of them they moved up, some of them they moved back. I think they swapped Persistent and Relentless.
Yeah,
but that makes sense. Persistent is better at lower level, so it makes sense for it to come faster, and then for you to get Relentless.
So David says, does that interact with spells that do things when you hit 0 HP? Like what spells, David? Because it would rely on the wording of the spells.
Death Ward would be the prime example there, I think. Death Ward would change you to 1 if you hit 0. See, that's the thing. I think if you're a barbarian and you're raging and you get hit with something that would drop you to 0, or disintegrate too. That's an interesting one. But let's talk the Death Ward through for a second first. You get hit and you would drop to 0. I think as a DM, I would allow you to use your rage ability before using the spell effect. Because your natural ability kept you from going to 0. Only if you fail at your natural ability, then the magic kicks. That's my opinion. That makes the most sense to me.
Okay, so you have, we're going back to what we said at the top of this. You have base rules, then you have specific rules. So the fact that if you hit 0 hit points, you're disintegrated would overrule the you hit 0, you get 30 back. Because if you hit the 0 threshold and disintegrate, you're disintegrated.
See, I think that's why the and don't die outright is in there. Because disintegrate, if you hit 0, you die outright.
Pretty much.
So I think that's where that would come into play. That having that clause in there and don't die outright is the caveat to that. But I think the interaction with Death Ward is much more nuanced. Because Death Ward says when you drop to 0 hit points, your hit points return to 1.
Ooh, 2 questions.
But I think your natural physicality would precede the magic. What do y'all think about that?
Don't know.
I have to do some studying on it.
Because here's the thing. With Relentless Rage, if you make that saving throw, you never actually drop to 0. The 0 never happened. You never dropped to 0. You were at 30 because you're angry about it. So I think you have to actually hit 0 in order for Death Ward to take effect.
Well, yeah, that's the way that because you're not actually falling over at that point. You're popping back up for Death Ward to take effect. That portion I'd kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
that's the order I would put those in. But yeah, disintegrate because it says it kills you. Now, if you have Relentless Rage going and Death Ward, and you get hit with disintegrate, I think Death Ward keeps you from being disintegrated. I think you just are reduced to 1 hit. But that's a whole. That's not in the UA. So that's a regular rules question.
2 questions. Are there a bunch of undead that do bad things to you when you drop to 0, or is that only when they kill you?
I'd have to go look. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think.
I think it's only when they kill you. I think it's when you die, not when you're rendered unconscious. Because 0 is just unconscious. And I think all of the undeads that like turn you into one of them when you die at their hands are it specifies you have to die.
Mm-hmm.
Lolly, I think you're thinking of power word kill, because disintegrate does 10d6 plus 40. Power word kill, if they have less than 100 hit points, they die. There is no going to zero. You go straight past zero. Do not get death save. Do not collect $200. Yeah, David, I'm with you that I'm going to put in the comments that they need to clarify some things on that specifically.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick to finish out Barbarian, at 17, you get Rage Resurgence, which now means every time you roll initiative, you gain 1 expended use of your rage back, which basically means going into a combat, you always have rage.
Yep.
And because your rage is persistent, you don't have to spend any. You got it for 10 minutes again. When you roll initiative. And then finally at 18th level, you get Primal Champion. And they changed this. It used to be that you didn't get this until 20th level, and you got 4 points added to your strength or con, and it could go above 20. Now you get it at 18th level, which is a little better. You get it sooner, but you only get 2 points, but it can still go above 20.
Yeah, you still get 4. Your strength and constitution scores increased by 2, and their maximum is now 23.
No, it used to be your strength and constitution scores increased by 4 was what the old rule said. But you didn't get it till 20th level. It was the capstone for the class. But now, because they put the epic boons in as the capstone for all classes at 20th level, they've knocked this down to 18, but made it a little bit weaker, but it's still cool.
All right. So we're going to pause here on the Player's Handbook since we're finishing up the Barbarian and we don't have enough time to go into the next one. You wanted to share with us a creature you made, Locke.
Not a creature.
You're excited.
I made a character. And it's ridiculous, and I love it. It's a multi-class, so I won't get to play him in any of the currently streamed games. Maybe he'll show up in a one-shot. I built him at 12th level just because. I'm pulling him up now. So I started wondering how, flavor-wise, you could build a Warlock Barbarian multi. And make it fun and interesting. And I'm so ridiculously pleased with what I came up with. I made him a tiefling because I wanted to make a tiefling barbarian because you don't see a lot of those. So the idea is I stole a little bit from Hellboy in the like backstory for the character. His father was a demon. His mother was a cultist. He was born in prophecy that he would break the chains of order that hold the material plane and open the way for the 9 hells to come onto the mortal realm and chaos to rule eternally. And his name is Ashadragoth the Chainbreaker. He looks like Tim Curry's The Darkness with Darth Maul's tattoos. Cloven hooves, giant horns. He's like 6'9" before the horns. He's a big beefy boy. He's a Pact of the Chain Warlock because it would have been too broken to make him Hexblade. So he's got a little imp that's like his little buddy that rides around with him, but kind of reports back to his dad. His dad just wants him to fulfill the prophecy. But Ashadragoth isn't down for that and doesn't want to do it and just wants to go hang out on the mortal plane and drink and carouse and maybe smash some heads, especially if those heads are bullies, because he hates bullies. And he doesn't want to be called Ashadragoth. He just wants to go by Chad. And he talks about himself in the first person and in the third person. But
really, the Chad? Oh, God.
Because he's a demon, he's and he's got a lot of things like enthrall and friends and stuff like that in his warlock spell list. He's very smooth talking, but still talks about himself. He's just basically he's a very suave himbo, who who's got a little imp that travels around with him, and he likes to work out and drink and fight, and he doesn't want anything to do with the thing his dad wants, but he's still bound by his dad's power a little bit because he's a warlock. Yeah. So Chad. Chad thinks that's a very bad idea. So, and I think that you're being a bully, and that Chad will now have to smash you. So
yes, David. I suspect he does.
yes, absolutely. So yeah, and I used an interesting. I found a warlock build, a barbarian build. There's a barbarian subclass that was written by Matt Mercer. That's non-official. It was put up on DM's Guild. It's called the Path of Fundamental Chaos. Because I agree with Matt Mercer on this. The wild magic barbarian doesn't go far enough into chaos. It's not random enough. It's not weird enough. So the path of fundamental chaos, when you rage, the wellspring of chaotic energy inside you does things. And you roll on a table to see which bursting chaos energy comes off of you as you rage. And so because he is a Shadragoth the Chainbreaker, and it's meant to bring chaos to the world, he's just got this pool of chaos inside him that's urging to get out, and it only comes out when he gets mad. And you get cool like gravity and time and space effects depending on what you roll. And I also thought it was very funny to make him a Pact of the Chain Warlock because he's the Chainbreaker. Like I said, he's wrong, and I'm ridiculously proud of him because he seems like he'll be a lot of fun to play. Just a complete Chad of a barbarian who's got some dad issues that involve magic and prophecies and shit.
Oh, we don't want to talk about that. Hey, let's go get a drink.
Chad doesn't like bullies. Stop being.
Yeah, he's one of those supporting characters at the back of the bar. You wonder as your characters walk in, who's that? That's Chad. We don't piss with Chad.
Don't fuck with Chad. You don't want to make Chad angry.
Big bad Chad.
So yeah, a Shadragoth the Chainbreaker called Chad is like, I'm sorry, I tickle myself with these stupid things I come up with, and one day perhaps there will be a one shot and Chad will just show up and do things. He's not as broken as some of the multi classes I've made.
So, right, chat. You got anything for us?
Yeah, we're getting down to the wire. What else you got? Hit us with it. I like your concept block. That sounds like a cool individual. I hope to see him in a one shot someday.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things that just like it. The base idea popped into my head, like, what would this look like? And then I started playing with what it would look like, and the more I played with what it would look like, the more enamored I got with the idea of it. Because who builds a warlock barbarian that's not a hexblade? If you're gonna multi-class those, you want to power game it. A hexblade warlock and a totem barbarian is broken as fuck, quite frankly.
A lot that's broken.
Yeah, it's one of those combinations that if you were gonna do it and you wanted to do it like for power game reasons, that's the way you do it. But taking it in a different direction for flavor, especially the idea of him having a familiar that's like tied to his dad, that he's corrupting to be his best drinking buddy. This little imp that follows him around.
Oh, we're starting to bleed over into prepared spells and the magic stuff, which we're gonna have to cover next coming up.
Yeah, that'll be third series. Well, it depends on how far we get or how long it takes us to get through the rest of the Marshall.
Yeah, yep. I mean, we've got We've got one
Fighters.
more martial class. We didn't even get to the barbarian subclass. Actually, we could probably like real quick.
I
Dive through
want to
the-
take time. I want to
Okay.
take the time.
All right.
So we're at a good stopping point.
I was gonna say the barbarian subclass they put in here is pretty good. They made the I will say we'll talk about it next week, but they made the berserker subclass for barbarians usable.
So next week.
Yeah.
Yep. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. It's close enough. We'll remind people who we are, where they can find us, and we'll get the hell out of here.
Greetings, gamers. I am Raph Madway, your co-host for this this train wreck of a discussion, and I can be found at BOK Dragon 13,000 at Dice Stack Camp on Mastodon.
Hi gamers, I'm still Locke Clark, and you can find me on the social medias at Locke Unruly. That's Locke with an H.
And I'm Tier the DM. I'm the world's okayest DM, and you can find me on Twitter at Tier_the_DM. Remember, guys, things are dark at times and it get challenging, but you're not alone. Find someone that loves you to let you rest in their love and strength until you're strong enough to let someone rest in yours. Remember that love and inclusion, these are the torches that light a path to a better tomorrow. Come join us and be torch bearers. And until next time, if someone doesn't know, don't cast aspersions, cast guidance. Love you guys.